right, so get ready because we are diving into some seriously crazy market action, and it all surrounds Eric Trump and some of his recent crypto pronouncements.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to be looking at this piece from crypto.news. It's titled, Eric Trump's Ethereum tweet sparked a rally, will Bitcoin follow? Pretty interesting stuff. We're going to explore those tweets, figure out what the market's reaction was, and try to figure out if this is legit or just total fluke.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, at first glance, it's kind of a head-scratcher. It's kind of like, what? But I think that's why this is going to be a really fascinating deep dive.
Yeah, for sure. So the article really starts by painting this like almost unbelievable picture. It all starts with, President Trump's tariff announcements, the one that sent shockwaves through the markets. Well, Ethereum got hit really hard. I'm talking a 37% drop.
Wow.
And then right when Ethereum is like down in the dumps, boom, Eric Trump tweets on February 4th. He says it's a great time to add ETH. I mean, the timing is just wild.
It really is. It's almost too perfect, isn't it? But what's even more interesting is what happened next. So within 18 hours of ETH hitting, like, its low point, the price just goes on this crazy tear, shooting up over 35%.
Really?
Yeah. So imagine going from about $2,300 to over $2,900 in less than a day. I mean, that's remarkable, wouldn't you say? And it all happens right after that tweet from Eric Trump.
It's definitely raising some eyebrows for sure. Of course, we have to be, aware of that whole correlation doesn't equal causation thing. But
yeah,
you have to admit the timing is incredibly suspicious. So what do you think? What do you make of it all?
Well, yeah, I mean, we can't just say that the tweet caused this rally. But the speed and the size of that price swing, that's really unusual. It definitely makes you wonder, especially when we consider what happened next with Bitcoin.
Yeah, right? Just 2 days later, Eric Trump tweets again. This time it's about Bitcoin. On February 6th, he posts, feels like a great time to enter #BTC.
Classic.
Yeah. So everyone's like waiting to see if Bitcoin is going to, do the same thing and take off like Ethereum.
Right. Drumroll, please. It doesn't really happen.
No, not even close. Bitcoin sees a little bump, briefly gets past $98,000, but then it just fizzles out, settles back down with just this tiny gain overall. Why do you think the reactions were so different this time?
Well, I think here it's really important to understand, like, the overall market situation. So when Eric Trump tweeted about Ethereum, it was in this, like, oversold state. Imagine, like, a rubber band stretched way past its limit. Eventually, it has to, like, snap back right. That's kind of what happened with Ethereum, I think. The market was, like, primed for a bounce back.
Mm-hmm.
Bitcoin, though, was already, like, cruising near its all-time highs. There wasn't much room left for it to, suddenly explode like Ethereum did.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But now we're left with this big question. Does Eric Trump actually have some secret insider knowledge? Does he just know when to buy and sell? Or is this all just random and we're getting tricked by the power of social media? I mean, what do you think?
Well, that is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
If we step back and look at the bigger picture, I think there are a few important things to consider. First, you just can't deny how influential social media is. Eric Trump has a massive online following, and I think it's entirely possible that, anything he tweets could trigger impulsive trading, especially for those less experienced investors.
Yeah, right. Like, hey, if it's good enough for Eric Trump, it's good enough for me.
Exactly. And even if there's, like, no insider knowledge here, these tweets can still, like, amplify what's already happening in the market.
Yeah.
Let's say there were, like, a bunch of people already feeling optimistic about Ethereum but weren't sure about buying. Eric Trump's tweet might have been that last little push to get them to buy, and then it accelerates this trend that was already kind of, starting to form.
That's a really interesting point. And the article even mentions that there are some traders watching closely, hoping that history will just repeat itself. So they're like ready to overreact to anything Eric Trump might say in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this raises a really important question about, how do we as investors, as people just trying to, make sense of all the information out there, how do we separate the real insights from all the hype and noise, especially in this world where social media has such a big impact on markets?
Yeah, I think you've hit on something really important there, and it's something we're going to talk about a lot more when we come back. For those of you watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the CoinTalk Podcast channel for more deep dives just like this one. And if you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to smash that like button and let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the CoinTalk Podcast YouTube channel. If you're just tuning in, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of our deep dives into crypto. We're still in the middle of this whole Eric Trump crypto thing.
Yeah, trying to figure out if those tweets were just random thoughts or if there's, something more to them. Before the break, we were talking about social media and like how it can impact the market, like psychologically. Right, and how it can make even like a little tweet seem like way bigger, right?
Yeah, exactly. So let's like play devil's advocate here. Let's say that Eric Trump is not like this crypto mastermind. Let's say these tweets are just like his genuine opinions, just like anybody else.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible, right? He can have thoughts on crypto.
Oh, for sure. But here's where it gets really interesting. Even if his opinions, aren't based on like some secret knowledge they still carry like a certain weight just because of like who he is, his name, his family, all of that creates what we call a halo effect.
A halo effect. What's that?
So imagine like you see your favorite celebrity using this like brand new type of headphones, right? You might be more likely to buy those headphones not because you know anything about the sound quality, but just because you like admire that celebrity. Like if they use them, they must be good, right? It's kind of the same thing here.
So you're saying like, even if Eric Trump's tweets are just like random observations, some people might see them as like endorsements, like some signal to buy just because of who he is.
Exactly. And that's where the danger is. People might just jump in and, make these impulsive decisions, like investment decisions based on that without, doing their own research or understanding the risks.
Yeah, and that's something we always say here on the CoinTalk podcast, right?
Yeah.
Do your own research. Don't just follow somebody, even if they're a big name.
Right, exactly. And this situation, it just shows you like why that's so important. But to bring it back to what we were talking about, what's so fascinating here is how this whole thing, really highlights how blurry the lines are becoming between like personal opinions, celebrity influence, and like market manipulation, especially, with social media and how powerful it is.
Yeah, it really is. Like this whole new thing,
Yeah.
It's hard to tell what's real and what's not. It seems like on this topic, there are like a ton of different ways people could see it.
Oh, for sure. Some people might say that, Eric Trump can tweet whatever he wants about crypto, and if people just jump in based on that, well, too bad for them, right? It's their own fault.
Yeah.
But then others might say that because of, who he is and his family and the fact that his words could really affect the market, he has like a responsibility to be more careful about what he says, and how it might be interpreted.
Yeah, and I bet there are tons of people who are like somewhere in between. Maybe they think it's fine to, say you like something, but you should also tell people to be responsible and do their research, right?
Right. You're absolutely right. It's a really complex issue. There's no easy answer, but it's a really important discussion to have because, as social media gets more and more powerful, the lines between personal opinions, public figures, and how markets move are only going to get blurrier.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure. And like this also brings up, legal and ethical questions. Like, is there a point where these tweets, cross the line from free speech to something worse?
It's definitely a gray area for sure. And it's something, the regulators are still figuring out. We've seen these cases where, celebrities get in trouble for promoting investments without, disclosing that they're like making money from it. Remember all those pump and dump schemes?
Oh, yeah, those are crazy.
Yeah. But with Eric Trump, it's different. There's no sign that he's like profiting from these tweets. It's more about, his potential for like indirect influence, which is probably even harder to like control or regulate,
Yeah, sounds tricky. So for those of you tuning into the CoinTalk Podcast YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe. Bringing it back, knowledge is power, especially with crypto. Before we wrap up, gotta ask, where do you stand on all this? Do you think there's more to these tweets than we see, or are we like reading too much into it?
It's tough to say, really. I'm usually pretty cautious. I think it's unlikely that Eric Trump has some secret market information. But the timing, yeah, you can't really ignore that those tweets came out right when these big price swings happened. It makes you think a little,
It does.
Yeah, it's definitely something to keep an eye on. But until we have more, like, solid evidence, I don't want to jump to conclusions.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I have a feeling our listeners might have some more, let's say, strong opinions about this.
I'm sure they do. Everyone loves a good crypto debate.
Exactly. So if you're watching on the CoinTalk Podcast YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button and let us know what you think down in the comments. Is Eric Trump like a secret crypto genius or just a guy with an opinion? We want to know. And hey, while you're there, give the video a like and share it with your friends. We'll be right back to wrap things up and leave you with some things to think about. Stay tuned. And we are back to the CoinTalk Podcast YouTube channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our future episodes where we, really dig deep into the wild world of crypto. Today, we've been trying to untangle this whole Eric Trump thing, looking at those tweets, what they might tell us about social media, how it affects the market, all that.
Yeah, it's been quite a ride. I think this really highlights, some important questions. Really, every crypto investor or anyone even thinking about crypto should think about this stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So let's step back for a minute. Big picture. What does this whole Eric Trump thing tell us about crypto? Where it's at in 2025?
Well, I think what's really interesting is how this perfectly shows both the huge potential of crypto, but also how volatile it is.
Right.
On one hand, it's still kind of new, It can be influenced by big investors, government rules, and yeah, even just people on social media.
Right.
But then we also see this huge surge in, everyday people using crypto. More serious investors are getting in, and the regulations, the rules, they're getting more figured out.
Yeah. So it's like we're in this really exciting time, but also unpredictable, right? Like we're making the rules up as we go along.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important for everyone to stay informed, be careful, and not, just jump in without thinking.
I totally agree. Well, we've talked about a lot today, starting with those tweets, then to this bigger idea of social media and how it can, maybe even manipulate markets. So as we wrap up our deep dive here on the CoinTalk podcast, I want to leave our listeners with a question, something to think about. In this world where one little tweet can shake up the whole market, how can we, regular people, learn to tell the difference between real advice, real information, and all the hype?
Yeah, that's a question that goes way beyond just crypto. It's for everything, really, especially now, with how connected we all are. But I think it comes down to critical thinking, Question everything, do your own research. Don't just follow the crowd, no matter how famous or important the person seems.
So well said. Knowledge is power, especially with crypto. Stay curious, stay informed, and as always, thanks for joining us on this deep dive here on the CoinTalk podcast. Before you go, hit that like button if you liked the episode, leave a comment, let us know what you think about this whole Eric Trump thing, and of course, share this video with your friends who might be interested. And make sure you subscribe to the CoinTalk podcast YouTube channel for more deep dives into the world of crypto. Until next time, happy investing.